Hi everyone. Today's topic is on what to do when my child lies. I think some of us maybe have come across this situation where we catch our kid lying and it's like our whole world just changes, right? So before we begin, I just wanted us to see that actually lying is a very common thing. Every one of us tells lies, and our kids too. All of our kids will go through this phase where they will eventually they will come to tell a little white lie and learn how to kind of filter out truths, filter out the unnecessary comments or unnecessary facts that will get them in trouble. I'm always asking, what is this member, what is this person actually asking when she's asking this question? I think the question behind the question is, I'm scared my child will become a habitual liar. Definitely very valid if that is what you're worried about. Or maybe you feel hurt that the trust has been broken and we do not know what to do about it, that we get back to the original state of our relationship with our child. We know it's a hard issue, and so it's not so straightforward, right? As like, oh, I just punish my child and then my child will change and she will become that nice, obedient girl or boy again. It's not as simple as that, because we know this is something that we cannot force our will upon the child. At least for me, it was a feeling of losing control of the situation, and there was a deep sense of loss in me and grief. And actually, as I was preparing for this IG live today, I was really reflecting on my own experience as a mom. First time my child lied to me, and I realized, like, belatedly, right, that actually a lot of what I was feeling was grief. A grief that I realized a season has now passed, and we are entering into a new season with our child. The season that has passed was the preschool years. Actually, not even. Like, sometimes the kids start lying at 4 or 5 years old, and it's the 0 to 4 years old stage where we know this is our child. Everything we have in this world is hers, and she's in our world, right? So completely that we know that we can trust this child so much that we would never even question that this child will even lie to us. But once we reach this threshold, right, we realize that, hey, actually this child has a mind of her own and she's capable of lying. So for me, it was more of a grief or a sense of loss that we're past that babyhood and we're entering into a new phase in our relationship, that I cannot keep forcing my will on her. I cannot just tell her to do stuff and she will do it, because she's entering a mind of her own. And so by the end of this session, I'll outline some steps you can take to minimize the lying and repair the relationship. Okay, and I'll also give you a template agreement you can use with your child. Send me a DM, leave me a comment below this live. After that, just comment lying, and then I will DM you with the link. So hi, I'm Abigail. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a parent coach for moms with distracted kids. I was a psychology major. I was an ex-teacher trained to teach secondary English and math. And then when I had my first child, I realized I didn't know how to teach my child at all. I didn't know how to teach my baby at all. And so I went to do a diploma in Montessori. So it's strange that I'm here now, because I find I'm using all of my life experiences, all 3 seasons of my life, to do the work I do now, which is to be a parent coach for moms with distracted kids, because I have a distracted child myself. So why do our kids lie? All kids lie. It's part of growing up. And this happens at maybe 4 years old. Kids start developing something called a theory of mind, which is when they realize that they have thoughts. They are suddenly conscious that they have thoughts that they can manipulate. They can manipulate a language as well. And so when they realize that, like, ooh, now it's like I'm not reactive to all the circumstances. I'm actually in control of many things, especially my thoughts, especially my language. And so that's when you start seeing that kids start telling lies around that age for the heck of it, just to experiment. Like, hey, if I say this, how will mommy react, or if I do this and not tell her, will she find out? So I think they start to get a bit experimental at this age because of this theory of mind. So it's a very, very natural process, and it's a good thing that our kids have that, right? Because we don't want them to grow up and having like unfiltered language. Whatever goes through their minds, they just blurt it out, right? So that's not very good either. That's swing onto the extreme. On the other hand, we of course don't want our kids to be lying compulsively. And if we are seeing that they are telling certain lies, okay, then that's the time we have to nip it in the bud so that they do not keep lying because they think they can get away with it, or they keep lying because they get a certain attention. I was thinking it's better if I give you some context, and when I talk about certain principles or certain concepts that we want to apply for yourself. So today I'll be using mostly about my story of the first time I felt like my daughter was lying to me. She's now 12, my oldest, but when she first entered primary school, she kept lying, or rather kept a lot of things from us. One of them was like, suddenly she had pocket money and she had power. She had suddenly realized that, ooh, this is the first time I have pocket money and I can spend whatever I want on at the bookshop. So we came back and we found, as we went through her stuff, right, with her, it wasn't like a behind her back thing, but as we like go through packing the bag and all, like, then we're like pulling out stuff like keychain upon keychain, metallic silver, turquoise blue, ruby red, you know, all these like pretty skateboard kind of keychains. And we're like, why are you buying so many keychains, one of every color, when you don't even have a key? We didn't let her have a key. Why would you need so many keychains for? And then she started giving excuses like, oh, my friend buy for me, you know, things like that. But like, which friend would go and buy keychain for you, right? So we realized that, okay, she's spending her pocket money at the bookshop every day, almost every day, buying stuff. Then when we asked her, then how would you eat? She'll be like, no, yeah, I eat. Yeah, definitely I eat something. But when we do the math, it's definitely not true. You know, maybe she ate like one day out of the week and then the rest of the day she was buying keychains. So that's one situation. So our kids lie. One of the reasons is that because they are scared of our reaction and the consequences, and of course the punishment. And sometimes we add to fuel to the fire when we are so jumpy, and they know it, right? The kids know that, wow, if I tell mommy this, right, she's going to start reacting and scold me and make a mountain out of a molehill. And so sometimes we also want to check our own reactions, whether we are unnecessarily jumpy or overreacting. Yeah, if we remain a bit cooler, right, maybe they'll be a bit more open to telling us. So that's why I've observed with my own kids, especially when they're older, right, they tend to keep a lot more things. So they're not like, they've progressed, you know, not from telling lies, but they just omit information that they know I'm going to react. So nowadays I've learned to kind of try to hold my tongue a bit more and to just listen and nod and okay, so tell me more, ask them more questions so that they'll be a bit more open with us. Another example is like when my son, right, is like, when I ask him, do you have homework on a Friday? He say, no homework. So sometimes with our distracted kids, they forget, right? They forget they have homework, and in that moment I'm asking him, maybe he's distracted, and then he just blurts out the answer that he so wants to believe that he has no homework, or the fact that he has homework and it's such a painful memory, he blotted out of his mind that he genuinely doesn't remember he has homework until like the Sunday night. Then he says, actually I have this thing that I have to do. Then again I will jump, and then that makes him not want to tell me the truth, I guess. So number one reason, they are scared of our reaction and consequences and punishment. Our distracted kids lie because, as I've said, forgetfulness. Okay, sometimes our kids forget, they just blurt out an answer. They are impulsive. Our distracted kids are more impulsive than most, right? And which means that sometimes they are higher risk takers. I tell you all of these to let you know how our kids' mind work, so that we are able to understand them a bit more and be less reactive and be less jumpy and think that, oh, it's a character flaw. Wow, my child is a habitual liar. He's going to like go to jail soon because he keeps lying about stuff. No. Okay, it's all natural development of our minds, and this is just how our kids' mind work at this point in time because of their underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, right? So yes, they are impulsive, they are higher risk takers. So some kids, they evaluate the situation, then they see like, oh, it's a 50-50 chance mommy will find out. Low risk takers, they'll be like, I better not tell a lie, otherwise I may get into more trouble. Some of our kids will be like higher risk takers, so they'll be like, oh, 50-50, yeah, got chance. I'll just gamble and tell a lie right now just to get out of trouble. Also, our distracted kids, short-term thinking, instant gratification, poor ability to forecast. What this can mean is that they only think of the short term and they just want to enjoy now pay for the consequences later. Later doesn't matter. I'll just pay the price later. I'm not even thinking through what the price is. I'll just do it, just because I can. So again, it's not a character problem, and we don't want it to be a character problem. If the child keeps lying and lying and lying, yes, that's compulsive lying, and then we have a bit more of a pickle on our hands. But before that happens, it's not a character problem, and we want to solve the problem at its root before it becomes a character problem. What do we need to do? So number one we have to do is to have a good talk with the child. So how do we have these talk with our kids, right? So I would definitely encourage you to go for your one-on-one dates with your child. Not only when we have a problem, like we have to talk about lying, even before we have a problem, treat it as a buffer, right? Treat it as like this is something that we do all the time. We try to go on one-on-one dates with our kids as much as we can. And it doesn't even have to be very, very frequent. What I'm seeing with my own kids is that I bring one of them out once every 2 months. My husband brings one of them out once every 2 months. So on average, we are going one-on-one dates with each of our child like once every 3-4 months, right? And that kind of frequency is good enough, right? Don't think of it as so daunting, like every week I have to take my kids out on a one-to-one date. Not necessarily. Of course, if you can manage more frequent dates, that'll be really, really great. But if not, try to aim for once every 2 months as a start. And that will really, really help the relationship, because during these regular times where you set apart time for your child, you're able to just connect with him or her, be open, let him or her talk, talk about the friends. So you just ask questions. Your job is no agenda, just do what he wants. If he wants to play claw catcher, that's what I do with my kids. Just let them go claw catcher. If they want to go cycling, bring them cycling. If they want to go trampoline park, bring them go trampoline park. Whatever it is that they want to do, try to let it be a yes day. As much as you can, say yes to everything that they want for that day. And then that's where we have a lot of talks with my kids, and then I will just ask them questions. What's happening in your school? How's it going with this friend? What do you do with him? What do you like to do? Things like that. So I think the whole point is to keep the conversation open and let your child talk, right? And then if there's a lying issue, then that's where we want to use these one-to-one dates to really have a good talk with our child. So over a meal, we can ask them like, hey, is there anything you'd like to tell me regarding this issue? For example, like my child, right, spending a lot. Like, hey, Kay, is there anything you'd like to tell me with regard to how you're spending your pocket money? So we want to frame the conversation. Don't keep it so open that they're like telling you everything under the sun except the main issue you want to talk about, right? So we want to lead on with this question. Is there anything you want to tell me regarding this issue X? And then we say like, you can be honest with me. This is a safe time for us to share, and I won't punish you. I promise I won't punish you. And if there is an issue to deal with, we will deal with it together. Okay, so this is the best case scenario where your child is totally honest. Then we can tackle the root of the problem. Okay, and I want you to remember that lying itself is a problem, but it is not the main problem. It is a problem that arose out of this other deeper problem. So that's the deeper problem you want to tackle together. So for example, Kyra, so my daughter Kay was buying a lot of stuff, right, from the bookshop. And what we found out, like, she was honest, she took out all the keychains. We were like shocked, like, oh my goodness, why are you buying so many keychains? And then we asked her, any more keychains? We're not going to scold you. She said, no more. Okay, so now we've kind of contained the problem, right? Then now we ask her like, oh, why is it that you're buying so many things? Then she says, oh, they're so pretty, and I like it. So from there on, we realized that it's a difference in the value of how we spend money. To be fair to her, she's just using her pocket money, right? So we shouldn't be controlling what she buys, but we want to tell her and teach her the principle behind, like, we give you the pocket money for your food, and for you to learn how to manage this money so that you can set aside money for God. You want to put aside money for tithe, 10% for tithe, 10% for savings, or 20% for savings, and then we spend within our means for 70 to 80% of it. 70-80% is for your food. And then if you have any stationery needs or like books you need to buy from the bookshop, then you can ask from us. We'll give you the extra money to buy the necessary things. So we wanted her to know what are wants and what are needs, right? And then we found out that, yeah, she was just spending way too much of her pocket money on wants and not enough on needs. So some of the underlying issues were these. So we felt that we needed to teach her how to differentiate wants and needs, and then how to use money and value money, right? And to spend on the right things. Not that she cannot buy things that she wants or likes, but we wanted her to be more intentional about spending the money by thinking through. It's not like, oh, today I have 70 cents, I go bookshop, I just find something that I like that is under 70 cents and then I buy it. You know, that's not intentional. Then you end up with a lot of things, retail therapy, right? You know, you just buy for the sake of buying, and then you feel happy, and then you realize like, hey, I end up with something that I don't like, and then I'm poor, and then when I see something that I really like, I don't have the money to spend on it. So we were trying to teach her to save up, see something that she likes, keep it in her mind, know how much it costs, and then save up towards that thing that she really likes. So we came to an agreement and said, okay, how about once a month you can spend on something you really, really like. So that's our story of how we tried to tackle the root of the problem. And of course, we told her that, you know, lying is not good. Please be honest with us, and lying destroys trust and all that. So that's our best case scenario when the child is forthcoming. What if the child is not forthcoming, right? You know there's something going on, but your child is refusing to tell you anything about it. So I would say at this point to give the child time. You can hint like a couple of times, you know, like, hey, you know, is there anything you'd like to tell me with regard to how you're spending your money? No? Okay, then give it a few days or even a week or so, you know, just to give the child opportunity to come clean with you. Sometimes they need to formulate their thoughts. It's also to give yourself, myself, a chance to calm down and a chance to think through how do we want to tackle this issue. Remember, this is a heart problem. It's not a simple behavior problem that we can like scold the child and then the child will change. So we don't want to be so harsh and so firm, because if we are so harsh and firm with the child is going to shut down, the child is going to clamp up, and she's not going to tell you anything. So we want to be a bit delicate about it. So number one, give your child time. But if like at the end of a week or so, the child is still not coming clean, right? Then it's time to be gentle but firm with the child. And we tell the child like, hey, you know, we know about this issue and what you have done. Okay, mommy and daddy are a bit disappointed that you didn't come and tell us, although we gave you many, many chances to. We value honesty more than the wrongdoing that you did. And because you did not come clean with us, therefore, we feel that we cannot trust you fully in this matter. So we have to put in some boundaries for you. So that's how we approach the issue. Okay, I'll go on to tell my kid the boundaries, like be very specific about you can do this, you can't do this, and then I'll give the reasons as well, because we are trying to protect you. So you give your reasons for the rules that you're setting in place. Okay, and then we will come in with a contract, like talk it through with your child, of course, like why did he lie, and then what situation is ideal for him such that he doesn't need to lie. So for example, let's say you give your child like 1 hour of screen time a day, right? But then you realize that he has been playing on his phone for like 5 hours, right? And then he's lying to you. It's like, no, I never play on the phone for 5 hours. But you know that that's happening because it's recorded in your like parent app, right? So now you come to your child and say, hey, we know you've been lying about using the phone for 5 hours, although you're only allowed 1 hour. So tell me, how many hours do you think you need so that you don't have to lie to us? Maybe he was going to tell you 5 hours or 4 hours, right? And then we come to a compromise with the child and we say, since we give you 1 hour is not enough, okay, I'm going to compromise with you. Let's go 2 hours. Okay, if 2 hours, do you think you cannot lie to us and try to keep to your timing? If it says yes, great, you know, let's try it out. Then the root of the problem becomes not about the lying, right? It's about the screen time management. So that's when we will allow the new arrangement or the new agreement to run, and then we test it out, and then we see how it goes. And all the while reminding our child that, hey, no more lying. Okay, so you just tell us and be honest with us how many hours you're spending today. If you exceed, we will come in and help you manage your screen time, but no more lying. All right. Okay, so and then when you are thinking about these, right, and don't worry, I will give you that template and that agreement so that everything is there. So you also have to come up with a plan for accountability, and I would like you to think about it in terms of level 1 to 10. Level 1 accountability to level 10 accountability. So coming back to my daughter's example of like spending a lot of pocket money, right, on frivolous things, it's like maybe your level 1 accountability is I just give her 1 month of pocket money and I'm not going to ask her how she spends her money. Maybe I'll just like ask once in a while, hey, what's nice in your canteen? What have you been eating a lot of in your canteen? That kind of thing, just to check in on her. That's level 1 accountability. And maybe your level 10 accountability is I got to ask her every day, what are you spending your money on? What have you been eating? What are you saving up to buy at the end of the month? Things like that. So every day I have to ask her, every day she has to report to me what she's eating, how much is it, how much change she's getting. Then we check her pocket money. So maybe that's your level 10. Then we can say, okay, be specific in the behaviors or the actions that you're going to take to check for accountability. Because we want to tell the child, like, a bit of trust is broken here. So we need to put in these boundaries or these safeguards in place so that we can know how to trust you again. And if we are not specific, right, in the actions we're looking for, if we're not specific in the timeline that this agreement is going to take place for, then that will give the child a sense of helplessness and a lack of control over the situation. You put yourself in your child's place, right? And then parent tells you like, hey, my trust is broken, like we use some very big words, right? Like, oh, my trust in you is broken. Then the child asks, how can I earn it back? And then you say, don't know. We just keep to this arrangement. Every day I'm going to ask you, and we see how it goes. You'll feel really, really uncomfortable and insecure, right? Because there are no targets, there's no goal, there's no way for you to earn back the trust, so to speak. So we want to be very specific about 2 things about behaviors we're looking out for and what we're going to do as accountability checks. And number 2, the timeline. Say you're going to do this for 1 month, and if you are adhering to the accountability checks, then we can scale back the level of accountability. So maybe after 1 month, your child is good, then we stop asking every day. Maybe once every 3-4 days, we will check in with the child. What are you eating today? Is your pocket money tallying up? Then if she's still good, then we can scale it all the way back, maybe level 2 or 3. We only check in like randomly once a week or once every 2 weeks and so forth. Okay, so that's how we kind of teach our child, to build new behaviors and new habits, which will hopefully change how he thinks. So our behaviors will influence how we think, right? So by doing all these accountability checks with our children, we're trying to build new habits and new behaviors to help them change their mindset. It's a first step, but it's not the only step, and it should not stop there because it's only like very minimal level. Because it's really a hard issue, right? Like at the end of the day, she can report to me about what she eats and all that. But if her mind or her heart is always thinking about that thing she wants to buy, or she feels like she needs to buy this thing to make her look rich, or make her look popular, or make her have many friends because her friends think that she's very rich and she can buy a lot of these things. So a lot of these are like the heart issues that we do not want to just focus on the behavior and not deal with them. So definitely keep talking to your child on those one-to-one dates and every day, or as and when you have the opportunity. We want to keep talking to our child about these values and these mindsets that she's thinking about. Tell stories so that we can change our child's mindset and values. Like for my daughter, right, she was spending money on all these frivolous things. So my husband let her read this book called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's like a really thin book, short stories like Aesop's fables kinds. And somehow after reading the book, she realized that, money, I can use money to do other things like help other people, donate to charity. I can use the money to invest, and money grows bigger and bigger. Yay, instead of spending all my money when I can on frivolous things that I don't even like after a while. And it was also life experience, right? This little bit of experience that she realized as she pulled out her keychains that they didn't bring her as much joy as like 2 months before. So she realized that all these are like pretty temporary. And then she found something else that she liked even more, which was a comic book. So in my family, the policy is, okay, if it's a book with words, many words, right? We will buy the book for you. But if it's like a comic book, then we subsidize only half. You have to come up with half on your own. So she realized that she'd rather spend money buying these comic books than those keychains. And because the comic books are more expensive, she needs to save up for them, right? Then I also showed her, like, you know, the stuff that you're buying, right? All these things, if you bother to wait a while, I can get it like for 1/5 of the price on Taobao. And then she was like, ooh. And then, yes, that opened her eyes to the world of online shopping. So not sure if that's a good thing, but yeah. So nowadays she will like, birthdays, right? She will like go Lazada and she'll like kind of see what she wants. And she'll send me the link and like, you know, this one is good. You know, that one is quite cheap. Yeah, mommy, can you buy this for me for my birthday? So I'm like, sure. Yeah, so yeah, so I guess it's really through life experiences, through your stories, and through your interactions with your child that you are still dealing with those deeper heart issues, and you want to keep that going. I spoke about many elements today, and I'll write a template agreement you can fill in with your child with regard to that specific situation that you're in. So just send me a DM, comment lying after this IG live, and then I'll send the link to you. My parting words are, don't give up fighting for our child's hearts. So don't lose the woods for the trees. I know it's upsetting when you find out that your child is lying to you, but realize that when they are lying, it's only the surface problem. There is a deeper issue at hand, and is when they lie and they keep things from us, right? It's a warning sign, or rather it's just a signal to tell us that there's something they want to do, but they know we are not going to approve of it for various reasons. They may not know the reason, but it's just something they want to do. So there is a misalignment in our values, and obviously I feel that my value is better, so I want to win her over to my side. I want her to see my point of the argument. So the whole question, like, think bigger instead of like keep harping on the lying or the trust issue. We want to go deeper and see what is the value that is misaligned, and then we want to win our child over so that she or he doesn't have to lie in the first place. So we want to see this as a worthwhile fight and a battle for our kids' hearts and minds. So I want to encourage you to really stand firm in this, and to step back, be less reactive, and use this as a teaching moment to get at the deeper issues that our kids are really exploring, that our kids are thinking about, that our kids are experimenting with. Okay, thank you so much everyone. Thanks for joining me today, and okay, I'll see you soon then. Bye.